Hello, my name is Marius and today we're talking about 10 money saving tips for students so that you build financial literacy, are not struggling at the end of the month and potentially even be financially better off. Let's get right into it. With number 1, open a savings account, preferably one with a high interest rate. A savings account is giving you something that is really important when it comes to this financial journey that we're currently on. That would be discipline. By not having money accessible, you're less likely to spend money. So if you can't touch your money and you can't spend it, of course that means that you need to be very disciplined about the money that you have and kind of see it as a, hey, this is not my money now, this is my money for the future and I'm genuinely 100% invested there for the future. Number 2, have a set list of rules and never break them. Again, never break them because then you build discipline and, what is very important, you learn to trust yourself. Now the cool part about it is, this video here contains a list of rules that you can just follow along. So maybe take a little notepad and write them down somewhere or return to the video in the future. Because number 3 already is one of those rules. Don't attend paid social events, in particular if you can't afford it. Which you most likely can't, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video here. But let's look at the truth of college, of university. It's going to drain your bank account. There are books, literature that you have to buy. There are 1,000 clubs that you can join. So many parties that you could attend. So many trips that are being offered to you. And they all cost money. But of course you would like to join all those events because you have something that's called the fear of missing out, FOMO. Now let me tell you, the fear of missing out when it comes to college is completely unjustified. There's some form of university experience, that's true, but you can have that same experience without spending money that you don't have. Now, if your friends are urging you to nevertheless be spending money, even though you've communicated that you're broke, then please evaluate your friendship because no person on planet Earth should ever feel socially accepted because of their pocket change. There are just different and better values in life that is worth making friends for. Now number 4, and this one is slightly controversial, don't fall into debt because of university. And I mean, don't take out a loan because of university. I know that some of you, maybe even the majority of you, is coming from a country where tuition is being paid, where you need to take out a loan because your family can't afford to send you to university or maybe isn't even willing to. But there are other countries where you don't need to spend any money to attend university. Like for example, I grew up in Germany and the amount that I needed to pay every semester was roughly 250 quid. $250 every semester, and that is it. So consider studying in a different country, or, and now this is another point, consider changing your goal from a private college to a public funded college, because the content that is being taught is the same. There are facilities that vary and some have more accessible and cool things that they can showcase and underline your subject with, but math stays the same everywhere on planet Earth. History won't just suddenly change if you study at a community college instead of Harvard, just to name a crazy example. On top of that, your undergrad, your bachelor, is not as important as your master, your graduate exam. So you can look at where you want to study in the future and maybe focus for your undergrad, for your bachelor, on what can I afford. And that's the case because you will be applying with your graduate, with your degree at the end of all your university journey in life. So the highest degree that you get, that's going to set you up. The employer is going to look at that and is, oh, this is very impressive. I'm going to take you because of this degree or because you went to that certain university. So potentially lower your means for your undergrad, for your bachelor's, and think about loans when it comes to, for example, your graduate, your master's degree. Now number 5, track your expenses. Because how else are you supposed to build a budget? If you don't know where your money is going to, you don't know how much you're spending, then you don't know what to cut back on. You would not know what to improve. So ultimately, you automatically will be spending your money more recklessly just by not having control over where it's going to. Number 6 now is to have a budget. I've got a little exercise for you right now that you can follow along. Take a new sheet of paper and write down all possible expenses that you have in a month, maybe even that you have in a semester, in a year. You can also do that with a spreadsheet on Excel. And then next to it, because we've now tracked our expenses carefully, write down how much you currently are spending. And then in the third column, write down what you would need to spend every month. And the difference in between those amounts is what you could save, is what you can put aside, is what you can put into your savings account from point one. And this new amount now is your budget for the semester, is your budget for the month. And go stick to that. Be disciplined about your budget. If you have a set number, if you know what to do, then go do it. Your self-esteem will literally grow by being disciplined about your money. Number 7 now. Start investing as soon as possible to harvest the results of compound interest. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just going to tell you what I did in university, and that's it. There's data that says it works. Based on my results, I am kind of convinced it works as well. So there are different things that you could invest in. There are fancy cryptocurrencies nowadays. There is real estate, gold, people's companies, and so on. What I would like to bring forward to you is a very rock solid that has proven itself to be very successful in the last 100 years, which is called an index fund, more in particular an exchange traded fund. That now sounds very fancy and so on. It's not. It's just a collection of companies, like for example the big ones, Apple, Google, Meta, and so on. They're all trading under the same kind of name. And an example would be the S&P 500 that tracks the 500 largest companies based on market capacity in the United States. There are also various world indexes, and they all roughly make about 7% a year. So if you, for example, invest $100 in 1 year, then at the end of the year you theoretically could be having 107. Of course, this is not a guarantee amount. This is going to go up or down. Anything can happen. There's an important sentence though: time in the market beats timing the market. So if you look at a longer time horizon, you will ultimately win. Now, compound interest is going to prove this kind of to you. We've just seen the 7% number. I'm gonna round this up slightly to 10% just to make the calculations easier. So in the first year you invest $100, and make 10% on that. So at the end of the year you theoretically have $110. Now in the second year you again make 10% on the money that you've invested. But of course you now have not invested $100 anymore, but $110. So you make $11 as your return, which means you then have $121. In the third year, you again take the full amount, make again 10% on that, which is $12.1 extra. So you have $132.1. Once again, those aren't guaranteed results, that's just an example now. But there are some very nice and beautiful calculators that you can run your numbers through and how much money you're willing to invest. I started with $25 a month, but if you take, for example, 50 now, over a longer time horizon of 30 years, those $50 invested every single month will be $56,000 with just $18,000 invested. That's a big amount. Of course, if you can invest even more, instead of 50, for example, $200, then after the same period, so 30 years, you will have $226,000 by not having done anything except for putting $200 in every single month, so having invested $72,000. That's it. So it's a very passive form of growing wealth, which also means the earlier you start harvesting compound interest, the more money you could theoretically get. As I said, the results, of course, are still not reliable and everything can go to rubble tomorrow. We don't know. Future's not guaranteed. But number 8 could be, and that will be using a payback system, particularly when it comes to expenses that you do anyways. A payback system works like this, that you have a credit card or overall payback card, or that you then scan every time you make an expense, pay with it or whatever, and then every single month or by every single purchase you get like 1% or a few points of your money back, and that accumulated could lead to some amount that you can then spend in the future again. The beauty of credit cards is that you of course aren't spending your own money, which means that you also need to cover that expense at the end of the month, and if you do that diligently, then you can build something that's called a credit score, which could help you get a loan for a house or a car in the future with a better interest rate. And now let's look at something that might be a bit more fun, because right now we're just trying to keep the money that we have and make the best out of it. That works until a certain point, because if we aren't super lucky, the amount will kind of stay the same. So to help ourselves, we could theoretically get a part-time job or start a side hustle and earn some money on the side. This is now the money-making part. And the cool part about it is, first of all, you can increase your savings, so harvest compound interest earlier and so on, and yeah. Or you can also increase your budgets everywhere, so that you're just living a bit more comfortably and don't need to stress at the end of the month, even though you would have money left over. Potential part-time jobs can be found in retail, behind every counter, or maybe go ahead and look at a paid internship that could theoretically set you up for the future and be a stepping stone into a career that you would like to get into anyways. You can also work for university, because there's most often also stuff needed there. Now number 10 would be to sell your old stuff. That is simple, that is easy, and you can do that pretty much right now on eBay, on Vinted. And what you should be selling is anything that you don't need, that you have not used in 2 years and don't exactly have sentimental value to. You can also learn to let loose of things by selling those sentimentals. But for me personally, I value sentimentals higher than the money that I have at the end of the month in my bank account. And that being said, thank you very much for watching. Feel free to watch this video up here on how to become an A student with tips from A students, so that you ultimately are academically better off. And see you all next week. Goodbye.